Hello friends, couple of days back Supreme Court made important observations regarding the PMLA and UAPA acts. So by observing these things regarding the UAPA as well as the PMLA, Supreme Court came up with few words such as procedure established by law and due process of law. In this particular video, we are going to explore more about the procedure established by law and due process of law in the second part of the video. In the first part of the video, first we will discuss about what are the observations of the Supreme Court in the NewsClick agency case. We all know that the editor of the NewsClick, he was arrested by the officials on the allegations that he was doing some activities which are violating the UAPA, and in fact he is giving information to China regarding information related to India. So by the violation of various provisions and under the violation of IPC also he was been arrested. So the most significant part of the judgment is Supreme Court applied the due process of law and the procedure established by law principles to both UAPA, and Supreme Court also quoted one more case also in this particular judgment. So that case is related to PMLA. So now gradually Supreme Court is applying these procedure established by law principles slowly to PMLA as well as the UAPA. Of course, previously were also there the due process of law and procedure established by law, but they were very rarely applied in the case of UAPA. But now Supreme Court observed that in fact UAPA gives more power to policing authority compared to the normal IPC section. When more powers to the policing authorities are given by the UAPA, there are chances that state can act arbitrarily. That can be stopped only by the application of due process of law and procedure established by law. So we'll explore more about these two particular things. Okay. Before that, first let's see so what we are going to learn in this particular video. Of course, in this video, we will also check some of the security laws in India which are enacted by the Indian Parliament. So here we will see first the context, why it is in news, then various sections and cases, various sections under which cases registered against him, observations made by the Supreme Court, and the different, how the due process of law evolved. How it evolved in the Western countries and the demand in the pre-independence time regarding the due process of law, and the debates in the Constituent Assembly, observations of the Supreme Court regarding the due process of law. That we'll discuss in the second part of this video. So here, Supreme Court ordered the release of NewsClick founder editor Prabir Purakayastha, and the court ruled that Delhi police had failed to inform this Purakayastha of the grounds of his arrest before taking him into custody. And there is a significant difference between the grounds of arrest and reasons for arrest. Grounds of arrest are subjective in nature. That is different from person to person. And according to Supreme Court observations in this case, grounds of arrest have to be communicated to the person when police authorities are arresting that person. Otherwise, they are violating the due process of law, and even they are violating the procedure established by law also. So what is this due process of law? Due process of law is state should not do anything like arbitrarily, and it should be within a fair action, and it should not discriminate in an unreasonable manner. All comes under the due process of law. So in a summary we can say the fair treatment, that is about the due process of law. If you remember the concept of due process of law, we borrowed from which country? Comment your answer. Next, the founder editor was arrested on October 2023 under the UAPA Act following the allegations that his news portal received funds from promoting pro-China propaganda. This was the allegations made by the authorities. And he was arrested under following sections 13, 16, 17, 18, 22 of UAPA and section 153A and section 120B of the IPC. Under these sections he was arrested. And one more, the gross violation happened in this arrest is, according to Supreme Court observation, the violation of Article 22 Clause 1. What is this Article 22 Clause 1 is saying? According to Article 22 Clause 1, if a person is arrested by the police authorities, the grounds of arrest, on which grounds the person is arrested, that has to be communicated, and the person should be allowed to take the legal help. Legal services should be allowed to that person. Both been denied in this particular case. That was the Supreme Court observation. Okay, and of course Article 22 Clause 2 is saying that the arrested person must be introduced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours. Okay, these are the two provisions, but specifically Supreme Court is pointed that in this particular case, Article 22, Clause 1 was violated. That is what Supreme Court observed. Right to be informed about grounds of arrest and right to get the legal assistance, legal consultation. That was also denied to this NewsClick editor. In this case, Supreme Court also quoted the Pankaj Bansal versus Union of India. In this case, Supreme Court expanded the procedure established by law even to the PMLA, okay, under the provision where the ED Enforcement Directorate acts. In this case also, Supreme Court mentioned that the explanation on which grounds the person is arrested, those grounds have to be informed to that person. Next, grounds of arrest we already covered. Failing to inform regarding the grounds of arrest, it is completely the violation of Article 20, 21, 22. UAPA Act, it was enacted in 1967. It gives more powers to the government, so to prevent the individuals and organizations to commit any terrorist kind of activities. It gives more powers to central government. It is applicable to citizens who are living in India, outside of India, who are Indian citizens, and persons who are serving with the Indian government within India and outside of India, and any ships, aircraft which are registered in India, and persons who are working in those vehicles. Timeline. In the case of UAPA, charge sheet has to be filed within the maximum of 180 days and the preliminary investigation has to be done within 90 days. Otherwise, the default bail, they are eligible to default bail. Under this act, special courts can be formed to trial these cases. Next, UAPA Amendment Act 2019. According to this amendment, previously only organizations used to be trialed under UAPA. But now, after the amendment 2019, even the individuals also started trialed under UAPA. That is what the change. Next, regarding the due process. Actually, the concept of due process, it started in England with the announcement of Magna Carta in 1215. Initially, it was applied only to the nobles who were living in England. But nonetheless, slowly it started applying to the common man to give the lawful judgment. Next, it was started implemented in England laws during the time of King Edward III. After that, America also took this concept and America introduced in their constitution through the 5th Constitution Amendment and 14th Constitution Amendment. Significant. The main significance of the due process of law is it gives constitutional guarantee of fairness, reasonableness and non-arbitrariness. That means people will be treated with utmost fairness, reasonableness and non-arbitrariness, and laws made by the statutory bodies also should be in this manner. And the due process of law also gives protection from the unjust laws. So Indians, we faced a similar kind of situation during the Britishers' time. During the pre-independence era, the leaders in the freedom struggle, they advocated for the due process of law because Britishers, because of the Britishers' oppressive laws, and so many Indians arrested during the British colonial regime. And in 1918, Congress officially demanded the revocation of laws, which are giving more powers to central governments so that they are arresting and they are detaining the Indian political leaders or Indian freedom fighters. Out of them, even people like Mahatma Gandhiji and Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they were arrested as well. You all know that Rowlatt Act is also one of that very arbitrary law, which given more powers to the government so that government can arrest any individual and without any trial, they can keep them for 2 years. So those kind of struggle we faced during the pre-independence era. And after the independence, Supreme Court also, initially Supreme Court confined to only procedure established by law. That is a very narrow version, especially in the A.K. Gopalan case and ADM Jabalpur case. In this case, Supreme Court followed the concept of the procedure established by law only. But later, Supreme Court expanded the scope, and especially in the Maneka Gandhi case in 1980, I think so, in the Maneka Gandhi case, Supreme Court adapted the concept of due process of law. That means not only the procedure, even the law has to be fair. It should not subject to any arbitrariness. So this is how the concept of due process of law evolved over the period of time in the post-independence India. We can definitely say that due process of law given more powers to judiciary compared to the earlier days where it used to follow the procedure established by law only. Now we'll see yesterday's video questions. Which of the following are true? The Constitution of India does not mention the parliamentary privileges specifically in any article. Yes, right. There may be contempt of house without committing a breach of privilege. Again, there may be contempt of house without committing a breach of privilege. It cannot be possible. As it can be possible other than the privilege also. So both the statements are right. Actually, the answer must be C. The Constitution of India does not mention the parliamentary privilege specifically in any article. Of course, they did not. Of course, they mentioned in the Article 105, I think so. So answer is only B. Only B. Yes, on Article 105 they mentioned. Consider the following statement. Rajya Sabha has no power either to reject or amend a money bill. Of course, the Rajya Sabha cannot vote on the demand for grants. The Rajya Sabha cannot discuss that. It can discuss. Okay. So only two statements are right. Third question. Consider the following statement. Under the Constitution, the presiding officer of Lok Sabha has been empowered to suspend an MP from the House for disorderly conduct. Of course, the termination of the suspension order of the respective MP can only be done by the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Yes, normally, unless until Supreme Court involved. In the case of death of a sitting governor, who among the following will discharge the functions of the governor of the state? No one. Okay, there is no such kind of provision mentioned in the Constitution or in any law. Today's question. Consider the following statement regarding the protection of people arrested under preventive detention. It is available only to citizens of India. Second one, it cannot be extended more than 3 months under any circumstances. Main question. Preventive detention laws in the country have come to be associated with frequent misuse. That means very frequently PD acts are getting misused. Discuss issues arising out of preventive detention and the Supreme Court views on this issue. So this is your today's main question. As we reach to the end of this video, in this video, particularly we discussed about the Supreme Court observations regarding the NewsClick agency case, how the Supreme Court expanded the due process of law regarding the UAPA cases, especially the violation of Article 22 Clause 1, and we also discussed about the evolution of the due process before in the Europe in the earlier days and pre-independence and post-independence, how the due process evolved also be discussed. And of course, we also discussed about some facts related to the charge sheet and preliminary investigation of UAPA. So this is the detailed analysis regarding the NewsClick agency case and the evolution of due process. I hope this video is useful in your preparation. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day. Jai Hind.